Hey everyone, this is Greg Davis at Zola Creative, and today I'm going to talk to you about domain names. And I want to break it down for you around top level domains as well as generic top level domains, which is called a gTLD for short. And so I'm going to go over and give you another illustration around what the differences are in these domain names and what some things are that you should be thinking about, some things that you don't need to worry about. Okay, so I'm going to talk about first just what are top level domains. And for those of you that may not be familiar, I mean, it's really what the name of your business might be with an extension. So it's, a .com or something like that. Really the most common, obviously, and the king is .com. So it might be something like yourbusiness.com. But as we all know, .coms are extremely difficult to find, especially this day and age. It's nearly impossible to find the names you want on just the open market. You have to really go into the aftermarket to try to find the domain name that you might want. But so sometimes we might resort to doing like a .net or a .org. These are the three most common top level domains. And so you might have a very difficult time trying to find your business name in one of these three extensions without going through a broker or somewhere in the aftermarket where you're buying it from someone that might own that domain already. Now, what happens then is that there are a lot of what are called gTLDs, which is like generic top level domains. That's the way that you can kind of expand your opportunities around trying to get the domain name that you want with as little of characters as possible. So that might say like a .us, .club, .music. There are hundreds of gTLDs that are out there that you can choose from. And here's the thing to know about gTLDs. They are no less valuable from a experience standpoint. So it's not like, from an SEO standpoint, anything like that, you're not going to have a harder time when it comes to using a generic TLD. The biggest issue is really just the fact that it's hard for people to adopt it over time. Initially, people are used to typing in .com or conditioned for that, or .net or .org, and so having a .us or a .club or .music or whatever it is you might use, it's a little harder for people to sort of catch on to. And so when it comes to trying to get people to go directly to your website through knowing the actual URL, that would be probably your biggest limitation that you're going to have. Outside of that, there's no difference in using a gTLD versus the .coms or .nets or .orgs. Another one that's extremely popular is .io. Now, you're seeing .io used a lot more in technology platforms, and there's a reason why these domain extensions matter, because there's an entire world that many of you don't even know exists. It's in the domain aftermarket. And that's where a lot of people are buying and selling domain names, speculation. They're buying and selling it almost like real estate in the hopes that a user will ultimately buy that domain name. And so .ios are really valuable in the domain world when it comes to investing. .coms obviously, again, are going to be the more valuable of anything if you have a .com, the right .com. But .ios are very popular, and investors look at them favorably. But really, like I said, .io is largely what you see in a lot of technology platforms. I know in my own world, I have azolacreative.io as well as cmodashboard.io. And it's because that's where the platform that I use, my marketing leadership training platform, is on a .io. People, again, are not going to be used to seeing a .io, so it's largely going to be found through third-party links, referrals, or someone doing a search. That's okay, because it's all right. It works for me, and it works for a lot of businesses that are using .io, because they might use their .com to send traffic over to the .io. So again, you're not going to lose out by having a generic TLD, except for when you're considering the idea that people are used to typing in a .com or something like that. Now, here's what you kind of stay away from. I see this all the time, is because people can't find that .com with a one or two keyword kind of name, like yourbusiness.com, they go into really long extension names. I have this example, your business is hard to find .com. So just like if you are worried about the idea of using a generic TLD like a .io or a .club or something like that, well, it's just as hard if you're going to do this, because that is really hard for somebody to type in. There's going to be a lot more room for typos. But I see it all the time with companies that are using these really long domain names because they just want to have that .com, but it's really not doing them any good. It's like a false sense of security. You're better off finding a shorter name using a generic TLD than you are to use this really long, hard to find or hard to type .com. And also think about it from an email standpoint. You know, this domain name is something that people are going to have to email you, or you're going to email out, and it's just going to be really hard. Add a name on top of this, you know, Bob Smith at yourbusinesshardtofind.com. That is not doing anybody any favors. So look for opportunities to buy a generic TLD that you can kind of use to shorten it. So you might find yourbusiness.us if you can't find the .com, or .club or .music, whatever it might be that you're doing. In some cases, you can even, again, you might have the .io, but because a lot of these generic TLDs are not as widely adopted yet, I mean, there's a lot that have been purchased, but there's still a lot of room out there for you to maybe find the domain you want. You might be able to find a single word .io as an example. That's going to be to your benefit because it's easier as an email for someone to type in, easier for people to be able to kind of roll off the tongue if it comes down to just one word. So just know that, you know, there are opportunities when it comes to how you do this. Using generic TLDs is actually going to be to your benefit. .agency is another example. You know, if you're in a marketing agency, why not? Why not have a .agency as one of your domain names? You could use that if you have a technology platform that you leverage, or if you just want that to be the service that, you know, the brand that you're providing. So if you're an agency, using something like a .agency is going to be great. Again, the only issues are going to be some people may not be used to typing that in, but from an SEO standpoint, all the rest of it, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with your friends and colleagues. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to leave a comment.